Shout out to our sponsors at IconBet. Open source, decentralized gaming, no deposits, play straight from your wallet. IconBet, made by the players, for the players. Ion Icon is proudly supported by Icon Nation and the Icon community. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Ion Icon. This is the episode where we bring you the weekly news. Today's episode is going to be a lot shorter than normal. I'm just going to quickly run through the main Icon news that's hit the ecosystem and things that we should be excited about. And then on the flip side, I'll quickly run through some key news events happening in crypto that I believe is driving a lot of the narrative, or something that has a tie-in with the underlying narrative of where we are in the crypto market sentiment and things like that. So again, just while I'm talking, these are my views and just perceptions that I've picked up from reading. It is not financial advice, and you shouldn't be making any investments or anything like that with anything I'm saying or doing. It's really just a conversational aspect. So let's dive right in. Ohm, known as Ohm. It is live on testnet, so if you haven't already explored it, there's a tweet out there with all the links, and jump in the OMM Discord, Ohm Discord, and hit up Dakey. He'll send you some USDS testnet versions, so you can actually play with the protocol, prepare yourself, create strategies in your mind of how you're going to use it, because once it does launch, it will create a way for certain assets to earn interest. That's the whole nature of the protocol. So kind of exciting for that to be live on testnet. And testnet version, you can use all of it, all the different components, and get a real feel for it. So I believe Bridge is in there as well. So if you're dying to test it out, jump on. I think one of the first things I always call this out is as soon as you look at it, it is so simple. I keep saying this. I went to Aave. I keep going back to Aave, and there's just so much going on the screen. I can't tell heads or tails apart from this is the interest I'll earn versus how much interest I have to pay if I borrow via that platform. I mean, OMM is same, but it's just not throwing as much information, and the information it is throwing at you is very concise and relevant. So definitely one to look at and get your head across. Next, so on that narrative as well, we have Bridge Pay. That'll be launching in a couple of weeks, so that's exciting. Now remember, with Bridge Pay, it's integrated into OMM. It's a separate product, but the goal of OMM was to create Ohm. I need to say Ohm, not OMM. Was to create a on-ramp that was simplified for the everyday user. Email, password, you're in. Transfer from bank account straight into OMM, deposit, lend your assets to earn interest, and get a much better rate than what you get in the traditional banking system. So, of course, OMM being live on testnet and getting ready to release, Bridge Pay is on track right behind it, because it's going to be shipping together. So part of that, as you know, Dakey's come on, and there's been a lot of communication regarding they have found a new partner, and just working through with them and getting everything on track. Hence, we've seen a bit of a delay in the protocol. But at the end of the day, get it right. This is a huge component of the protocol. It's better for it to ship together rather than in two separate parts. So I think the team made the right call there, personally. Okay, next up, we saw, and I loved this, was the Harmony Protocol issues a Gitcoin bounty to add support for the BTP bridge. Now, what I loved about this was it came from the Harmony Protocol. They have issued this. They are excited about BTP technology. They've gone to Gitcoin, sorry. They've issued a bounty. It gets more eyes noticing things like this, rather than just a few teams in the background working on integrating with certain chains. All of a sudden we've got chains that want this and are trying to get the outside community to pay them to build this out. And I've always been harping on about this. Oh, we should be doing hackathons around teams building BTP on testnets to try and connect to the Icon 2 testnet, which I'm assuming is BTP enabled. Once we get it there, it should just be a case of migrating. So when this came out, for me personally, while the hackathon idea hasn't gathered steam, and I know there are reasons for it, so I can say stuff, but I may not be privy to a lot of the technical understandings of things. So that's why I take my sayings with a grain of salt. But in this case, this is a great example of this happening in another way and from another protocol. And I know Iconists saw this news and were quite excited by it. It was just great to see other communities engaging to try and build an aspect that is, belongs to Icon, the BTP component, the infrastructure of it. So that was a good one. Next up, we have Project Nebula. Look, just a reminder, this is fast approaching. We are at the end of June, but the end of July is when this project will launch, our first video game on the blockchain, because we have many other games in IconBet. So that's exciting. Now, over to Balance News. We always have Balance News, but again, a reminder, in the next couple of days after you listen to this podcast, we will have the geometry release that is scheduled for June 26th, and we're expecting price charts, transaction history, statistic pages, and on top of it, the one thing that everyone is very excited about is the network fee vote and distribution. So remember, I believe that'll go across 5 days, and this proposal will be quite simple about distributing the fees, so hopefully there shouldn't be any issues. But I've seen a lot of other conversations spur off, well, how is this going to work? Can anyone draw up proposals, things like that? Just a reminder here, it is a DAO, and once all that functionality is built, yes, anyone will be able to draft up proposals, and there won't be, we want marketing. That's not a proposal. It needs to be detailed. If there's technical changes needed, it would need to have input from the teams to make sure it's viable and what the end product would be. How does it benefit the protocol? Because at the end of the day, that is the goal, right? It is about ensuring balance succeeds, and we, the balance holders, come to the party with proposals and questions and things that we want done or would like to see done via the proposal system. So exciting stuff there. It's great to see. And, and part and parcel, some highlights that Scott has mentioned, we're going to see monthly updates of what the team's accomplished and what the team's plans are. And on the communication front, already you can see Scott is a frequent, along with Parrot9, in the community sessions with Ion Icon. So every week at the moment, it's Wednesdays, I believe, in America, Tuesday. And they're there. Community actually is showing up. A lot of people aren't asking many questions, though. I would like to see that change. It is a open, free space to really engage with the team, and this is part of the foundation and the various teams listening to the community and saying, yep, okay, we want to talk to the community more, and here this is a channel that's been created for just that. So definitely thank you, huge shout out, thank you Scott and everyone, Parrot9, Lisa, Peter, who have been dialing in regularly to these sessions. I have been recording them. When I say thank you, Brian has been helping in the background to record it and getting it out, because we know everyone can't make that time, and there's quite a lot of insightful information that comes out of it. Okay, next up we have the Icon Treasury. So you would have seen this project. It is an NFT form of key moments that have been visualized or captured on the blockchain, not visualized. The visualized is the NFT, the coins that represent it. It's something Iconographer has been working on in the background. So they have been doing some giveaways around that, and the giveaways have been brilliant. Simplicity at its best. Like and retweet, bam, you're in the running. So keep an eye out for those tweets from the Icon Treasury. If you haven't already, make sure you follow it. It is a good one to just score some of these, and they're really, really cool coins, and each that represent a certain aspect of what has happened in the Icon ecosystem, and they have different levels of rarity, etc., and how many will ever be minted off it as well. So quite cool there. Then now this one, the next aspect was Supernode Racing, one of the first DApp gaming dApps that's been proposed to build on the ICE chain, and the proposal is up. We've had podcasts. They were on the community sessions chat as well this week. So definitely, if you don't know already, listen to the announcement podcast, listen to the community chat. Very excited about this, has a ton of potential. And what I really love, if you listen to the announcement, is that GPS Gaming are onboarding more devs in their team full time to build this. That apart from the dApp exciting me, this excites me the most, because we need builders, and we can acquire builders via new projects and teams expanding as well. So definitely, the only thing I say is, if you don't know what I'm talking about, catch up, go to the proposal. I'll have a comment in the show notes. Go review the proposal, ask questions in the comments section. This is the time to ask your questions. P-Reps, if you're listening, you need to be looking at this right now. Look at it, ask your questions, and before it goes into the voting section, because then if, say, you start asking questions, then we could lose an entire month before it comes back with a revised plan. So that's why it gets floated in the forums before it goes into the voting section. So jump in there. And this is for Iconist as well. You want to learn more? They've done a detailed write-up with clear milestones. And the last component I like about it is, the CPS fund draws ICX, draws on ICX. Now, with ICX price fluctuating, it's hard for projects to plan what they need in dollars. What GPS Gaming have proposed is they need this much ICX currently based on the market value at the moment, and then given they need based on $80,000, and they've said that in the time when they get the funding, because one thing to note is you do not get the funding on the first month. You get your funding based on milestones you hit. So you have to hit your milestones, and then you get paid for the milestone you just hit. So if a project misses it, they don't get paid for it. So with that in mind as well, what they've said is by the end of it, they want 80,000. Don't quote me on this number. I need to review the proposal again. But if ICX price has gone from 70 cents, 80 cents at the moment to $3, well, then they will return the excess ICX back to make sure it lines up to the 80,000 what they needed to fund the project. And I think this is great. While the TJ was on the live call as well, who's now the product manager for CPS, has come in and said, they're looking to fix that by implementing BNUSD or stablecoin into the treasury so that projects can plan better. Things like that. It could happen in 2 weeks, it could happen in 3 months, but in the interim, stuff needs to go on, and it's great to see GPS Gaming implementing that to give everyone a bit more confidence and assurance that it's not a money grab. It's really about building. So enough of that. I think that covers it. Great one. Now, just dropping this morning, my co-host, who isn't with me today on the show, hence doing a quick version of just the news. He dropped an article about BTP and why the bullish case around it. It's a fantastic read, and what I love about it is it gives you an idea of what it can do in different scenarios to impact ICX inflation. And to that note, the amount of transactions it could generate, how quickly it will make ICX a deflationary asset. That was what was brilliant about it. But at the same time, he breaks down how that process happens and just gives a few figures based on if we, even cut it down to a percent of what ETH is doing, etc., how it lines up. So definitely give it a read. It's a quick read as well. And I always say this, what I love about his writing is it's very simplified. A lot of times even I don't understand stuff, and he's released an article and it's broken down in such a simple manner that I have all these aha moments. So highly recommend it. Now, on that note as well, this article really had its moment when we interviewed, and this is what I believe anyway, when we interviewed Tom from Edgeware. He spoke about everything Edgeware is doing. And then we talked about the BTP integrations. And this is a fantastic interview. And it's not us tooting our own horn. I personally learned a ton from it about the Polkadot and the Edgeware chain and the Polkadot ecosystem. But I tweeted this out just before. This is where, at the end of the interview, when it was done, me and Icongrapher were talking, and I was all in awe about how Tom came across extremely knowledgeable. And Icongrapher himself said he just had an aha moment around BTP, and he then started rattling off an example to me, and I kept agreeing. But in the back of my mind, I was thinking, even this is going over my head. But I hoped secretly that because he had one of those moments, Icongrapher, he would this would turn into a breakdown article that he's quite renowned to do, and do it extremely well. So and yes, excellent. I woke up and I saw this post. I was like, brilliant. So I'll have it in the show notes. Next episode we do, I'm sure Icongrapher will do a live breakdown of how he came about, what his aha moment was, and if you haven't read, give a bit more context to the article. Okay, now we had Reimagined take place over the last couple of days. It was a long event. I tuned into a bit of it. I didn't get all of it. However, there were some real great call-outs, and it was well hosted, wealth of information in there, and some notable speakers from the Icon space. We had Min Kim, we had Scott, we had Parrot9 there. CTO of Mousebelt was there, and Geometry Labs as well. Rob was there. So quick takeaways. I mean, from Scott, we're hearing from Scott quite frequently now, and it was great to hear him just talk about Balanced and some of everything about Balanced, and I won't spend too much time there. I think one thing I wanted to spend a bit of time on, two points, was Min's interview. I had, before going into this, actually seen quite a few comments, sarcastic comments, I guess, around this. So I actually listened to the interview personally, and I was very dumbfounded at some of the comments and things. I found Min's interview excellent. I think one of the things I had been a little bit vocal about was, and this is why I've been extremely supportive of the Iconist proposal in CPS, was we're not getting much news out of South Korea at the moment, and regulatory news is a tough one to get anything out of unless the team publishes it themselves, which given the relationship between the foundation and IconLoot, it's a technical partner relationship, so you shouldn't expect too much to get published all the time. But having people on ground could rectify that, who understand regulation and how the governments and things, processes around that works. So that's a great plug for the Iconist. But back to Min's interview, what he actually did do was talk about how the regulation has impacted the uptake. He talked about MyID and variations to it that currently exist based on the government wanting to see the processes and how it works before they approve, say, 100% of it or 30 or 40% of it going via the blockchain from different components. They want 20%, they then gauge it, they reporting on it to see how's it performed, etc. Everything the governments need to do to slow down the process, but make it thorough, obviously. So I found that really good. He actually spoke in detail about it. So for me, it was good to hear that component being tackled. And I do know this for a fact. Anything government related is extremely time consuming. They can set a deadline and say, yeah, in a year we're doing this. It'll never be a year. It'll probably be 5 years, because that's the way the governments, that's how slow they are, and that's how much complications they add to a simple process. But it was definitely, for me, a great interview. And if you haven't listened to it, definitely, there's some clips floating around on Twitter with links. So I would highly recommend it. Personally, I enjoyed it. Now, the other interview that was a great one was Geometry Labs. Now, what I have heard, he's a bit of a whiz himself, and a quick takeaway from the interview was that they have worked with various different teams, and this is what I loved: QRL, Zcash, Polkadot, and Icon. So here we have a team that is a huge builder for Icon, but as well has their hands in other chains and helping and building, which again, remember, BTP Icon, that's what we're about. So good to see. So that closes off all the Icon related news. I'm sure there's stuff we've missed. But just in other news, very quickly, there's been a lot happening. So I just wanted to cover some other things off. Last week I talked about Mark Cuban, DeFi. Now we saw that he experienced his first rug pull. Uh, you know, people are like, at the end of the day, I always come back to here's a filthy rich person who isn't just having his lackeys look and invest. He's actually taking time to learn about protocols, and this has happened. Yeah, he has all the money in the world. It doesn't impact him. Everyone else would have had a huge impact, and I agree with that. But at the same time, it hasn't swayed him from the space. Lesson learned, and yeah, I think it's important to note like that. Uh, Even though it's happened to him, he is still right on the DeFi bandwagon and understands the risks associated to it. So that was an interesting turn of events there. Now, we've also had the price fluctuate. We hit 29, gone back up. More news has come out. China banning 150th time. They're banning. This time seems a lot more coordinated with banks being restricted to that miners can't cash out their coins and profits or transfer money back and forth. So this has seen quite a lot of facilities shut down over there, mining facilities. But I think on the flip side, while all this has been happening, they're not just shut down. You can see instantly they're migrating. Kazakhstan has picked up a huge mining. They've just migrated all their gear there. So on the flip side, this has created obviously a negative narrative. Anytime China bans Bitcoin, it's just a negative narrative. But I think the positive, some of the things you're seeing, Nick Carter, a few of the prominent Bitcoiners say this is a really good thing. It's removing that centralization of mining, which is something I recall consistently being said around Bitcoin but everyone in China, they're just mining and it's becoming centralized to that. But all of a sudden we're just seeing this, that they're dismantling the rigs and spreading across the world, which is good for Bitcoin. The second piece, but the hash rates have dropped. Guys, when I hear this, I can't believe how many people have to keep calling this out. It is designed, Bitcoin is designed, if hash rates drop, the difficulty readjusts, things readjust automatically to deal with the new hash rate. It does not impact network security. Now, if it went to zero, different story, but what's currently happening is what it's designed to do. And frankly, given the amount of mining rigs that got shut off and the change, it just goes to show it's performing as designed. So I don't know. I don't see how this becomes negative news, but they always have a knack for spinning it that way. Now, two other snippets of news I want to cover in the broader crypto ecosystem, and then that's a wrap for the news episode today. And I want to cover this because again, I feel the markets are dipping, and it's quite terrible when you look at it. But in the background, there are these things that are happening. And for example, here is the billionaire investor Steve Cohen. He is doing a deep dive into crypto and basically fully converted. He's come out with saying this from his mouth that there's no way around it. You can talk all you want, but you've got to get in the game. So, this is again Mark Cuban. People who are tech savvy, who take the time, who are filthy rich and taking the time to investigate, are coming into the space and discovering what it is and the potential, and then realizing that no, this is it. This is the future. So that, and then in the background, we hear Michael Slayer constantly MicroStrategy buying, but there's other firms that are constantly buying during the dips as well. And the firm that is Cathie Wood's ARK, she has been very vocal and bullish about Bitcoin. She's been very vocal at the moment, saying that we're just looking at a cool off period at the moment. And in the background, though, she's backing it up, that we can see. I think she's bought via the Grayscale Trust, Bitcoin Trust. They've bought a ton, I think 214 million 718 shares of Coinbase and 1 million shares of the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. So, even the dips, as it keeps dipping, these big firms that have come out in huge support and shifting their portfolios to have crypto assets in them are still buying, are not getting scared off by this dip. So very interesting takeaways for me personally, because it shows, fundamentals haven't changed. Market price can only say so much, but at the end of the day, the reason why I back ICX and I'm so passionate about crypto is I do believe it is a new technology that is going to revolutionize the way things function. So that's my personal view, and it's not about number go up for me, although personally do enjoy number go up, but what is being built, what is enabled every day is what gets me the most excited. So hopefully those are insightful takeaways, and this quick summary of the Icon news. We'll be back to our normal show next week with my co-host, but in the interim, didn't want to miss the episode. So thank you everyone for listening. Again, if you like the content, please make sure you like, subscribe, share this around. Let's get it out there to everyone's ears that there is stuff going on Icon, a ton of stuff, and it is exciting times ahead. Thanks everyone for listening.